My name is Gloria Mercer. I am 67 years old and I have learned the hard way that the people you would bleed for will often be the first ones to hand you a bandage laced with salt. I stood under the harsh humming fluorescent lights of O'Hare Terminal 3. It was 7 in the morning, a time when the air in an airport usually smells of stale coffee and sleep deprivation. But today, to me, it smelled like victory. It smelled like paradise. I tightened my grip on the handle of my suitcase. It was an old navy blue Samsonite, the soft shell kind with two wobbly wheels that fought you every step of the way. It had a zipper that snagged if you pulled it too fast, and a stain on the front pocket from a coffee spill in 1998. It was the suitcase I had taken on my honeymoon with Raymond. I looked at my family. They were standing 10 feet away, creating a barrier of exclusion I wasn't supposed to notice. My daughter Adriana, her husband Malcolm, my grandchildren, 16-year-old Tessa, and 14-year-old Brandon. They looked like a magazine advertisement for a life I couldn't afford, or rather a life they thought I couldn't afford. "Keep it moving, Mom," Adriana called out over her shoulder. She didn't turn her head. She was busy adjusting the collar of a blazer that I knew cost more than my entire wardrobe. "We have to hit the lounge before the flight." "I'm coming, Adriana," I said, putting a breathless tremor into my voice. "Just this old bag. It has a mind of its own." I shuffled forward, playing my part, the harmless, slightly befuddled old woman, the retired logistics clerk living on a pension and a prayer. I watched them herd their luggage toward the first-class check-in. Their bags were sleek silver hard shells. Rimowa, I noted. 4 sets of them, brand new. The wheels spun silently on the polished terrazzo floor, gliding with an arrogance that matched their owners. This trip was my gift, a grand final gesture. 10 days at the Four Seasons in Maui. First-class tickets for all 5 of us. $80,000. I had wired the money to Adriana 3 months ago. I told her it was my life savings, the nest egg I had scraped together over 40 years of filing invoices and answering phones. "You handle the booking, sweetheart," I had told her, my hand trembling slightly as I handed her the check. "You're better with the internet than I am." She had smiled then, a wide, shark-like smile. "Don't worry, Mom. I'll take care of everything. It's going to be the trip of a lifetime." She thought she was draining the bank account of a pensioner. She didn't know she was skimming a drop from an ocean. She didn't know that the retired clerk standing behind her had sold Mercer Global Logistics 5 years ago for $60 million. She didn't know that I owned the building her favorite coffee shop rented space from. She didn't know anything because Raymond and I had decided long ago that money was a test and Adriana was failing it. We reached the counter. The agent was a young woman with a tight ponytail and a tired smile. "Passport, please," she said. Adriana slapped her passport down with the confidence of a woman who owns the place. "Adriana Mercer, +4, my husband Malcolm, and the kids." She waved a hand vaguely in my direction. "And my mother checking in for the flight to Maui," Malcolm added, leaning his elbows on the high counter. He was wearing designer sunglasses indoors. "We have the suite reservation at the resort, so we need to ensure our bags are priority tagged." "Certainly, Mr. Mercer," the agent said, typing rapidly. "I see the reservation here. Adriana, Malcolm, Tessa, Brandon, 4 seats in first class, row 2 and 3. I stepped up, dragging my wobbly Samsonite. "And Gloria," I said, offering my passport with a hopeful smile. "Gloria Mercer." The agent took my booklet. She typed. She frowned. She hit the backspace key and typed again. The rhythm of her keystrokes changed from efficient to searching. "I'm sorry, ma'am," she said, looking up at me with confusion. "I have the 4 passengers checked in, but I don't see a ticket for a Gloria Mercer." The noise of the terminal seemed to drop away, leaving me in a vacuum of silence. I blinked, maintaining my character. "Oh, that's silly. It must be there. My daughter booked it." "Adriana," I turned to her. Adriana was suddenly very interested in the departure screen above our heads. "Adriana," I said a little louder, "the lady can't find my ticket." She turned slowly. Her face was a masterpiece of manufactured shock. Her mouth hung open slightly, her eyes went wide, and she brought a hand up to her forehead. "No ticket. That's impossible." She rushed to the counter, pushing me aside gently. "Check again. I booked 5 seats. I definitely booked 5. I'm looking at the entire manifest." "Ms. Mercer," the agent said, her voice cooling as she sensed the deception. "I have 4 tickets issued under your confirmation code. There was never a 5th ticket purchased." Adriana spun around to face me, grabbing my shoulders. "Mom, oh my God, Mom," I am so sorry. I must have forgotten to click add passenger for the last seat. There were so many forms, the hotel transfers, the meal selections. You forgot me, I asked. I let my voice crack. But Adriana, I sent you the money, the $80,000. Malcolm stepped in, his voice sharp. Gloria, keep your voice down, he hissed, glancing at the people in line behind us. It's obviously a clerical error. Adriana has been under so much stress with her consulting firm. It's okay, I stammered. I can fix it. Miss, can I buy a ticket now? Any seat. I don't need first class. Put me in the back near the toilets. I don't mind. The agent looked at me with genuine pity. Ma'am, this flight is oversold. Every seat is taken. It's spring break season. What about the next one? Tomorrow evening. But it's fully booked. The earliest I can get you to Maui is 3 days from now, with 2 layovers. I looked at my granddaughter, Tessa. She had her headphones around her neck. She looked at me, then at her mother. She didn't look sad. She looked relieved. She let out a small huff of air and turned back to her phone. Brandon didn't even look up. He was thumbing through a TikTok feed. 3 days, Adriana said, shaking her head. Mom, that's half the trip, and we have those meetings. Meetings? I asked. I thought this was a vacation. Malcolm shot Adriana a look that could have cut glass. Networking events. Gloria, you wouldn't understand. It's high-level business. Look, Mom, Adriana said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. This is a sign. You hate flying. You know you do. And you're back 12 hours in the air. You'd be miserable. I wouldn't, I said softly. I really wouldn't. You would, she insisted, rewriting my reality in real time. You go home, go back to Southside, rest up. We'll FaceTime you from the beach. We'll bring you back some macadamia nuts, the chocolate-covered ones you like. But the money, I said. Adriana, the 80,000. It's spent, Mom, she said quickly. Too quickly. The hotel, the transfers, it's all non-refundable packages. I can't get it back. If you don't come, we can't waste it. We have to go. She reached into her purse. She bypassed her wallet, a sleek black leather thing that I knew contained the platinum credit cards she couldn't pay off, and dug into her pocket. She pulled out a crumpled ball of cash. She smoothed it out against her palm. It was a $20 bill. Here, she said, pressing it into my hand. Take a cab home. Treat yourself to a nice lunch. We'll call you when we land. A cab to Southside costs $60. Adriana, I whispered. Take an Uber then. Figure it out, Mom. We're going to miss our flight. Malcolm snapped. He grabbed the handles of his Rimowa bags. Come on, kids. Grandma is going home. They turned. They walked toward the TSA pre-check lane. Not once did they look back. Not once did they hesitate. They took my life savings, my trust, and my love, and they left me standing on the cold linoleum floor, holding a $20 bill like a tip for a bellboy they no longer needed. I watched them disappear through the frosted glass doors of the security checkpoint. I stood there for a full minute, just breathing. I looked at the $20 bill in my hand. It was old, soft with wear, a jagged tear in the corner. The anger didn't come as heat. It came as ice. It started in my stomach, a cold, heavy weight that expanded upward, freezing my lungs, my throat, and finally settling behind my eyes. It clarified everything, the fog of motherly affection, the excuses I had made for her for years. She's just trying to find her way. He's just ambitious, evaporated. I wasn't a mother anymore. I was a CEO, and I had just identified a massive liability in my organization. I walked over to the nearest trash can. I didn't crumple the bill. I dropped it in flat, watching it flutter down to rest on top of a half-eaten bagel. I pulled my phone from my pocket. Not the ancient flip phone I used when I was around them to maintain the confused old woman persona. I reached into the lining of my windbreaker and pulled out my real phone, the encrypted satellite-secure smartphone that cost more than Malcolm's car. I dialed the number. It rang once. Ms. Mercer, a voice answered, crisp, alert. We didn't expect to hear from you until you landed in Hawaii. Is everything all right? Change of plans, Marcus has said. My voice was different now. The tremor was gone. The hesitation was deleted. It was a voice of command. I am currently curbside at Terminal 3. I need the car. The car, ma'am. Yes, I am not on the flight. Bring the Phantom and call Simone. Tell her to meet me at the Ritz-Carlton in 45 minutes. Tell her to open a war room. Understood, ma'am. 3 minutes. I walked out of the terminal doors, into the biting morning air. I ignored the taxi line where the poor Gloria from Southside would have stood. I walked to the VIP pickup zone. 3 minutes later, a Rolls-Royce Phantom, black as a starless night, pulled up to the curb. The driver, Marcus, stepped out. He was a mountain of a man, in an immaculate suit. He didn't look at my shabby window. He didn't look at my wobbly Samsonite. He looked at me. "Ma'am," he said, opening the rear door. "Take the bag, Marcus," I said, "and be careful with it. It's the only honest thing I have left." The Ritz-Carlton, Chicago, is a fortress of old money and silent power. When I walked into the lobby, the doorman didn't stop me. Despite my attire, they knew the face. They knew the walk. I took the private elevator to the penthouse suite, my real home, not the two-bedroom walk-up in Southside with the linoleum floors that I kept to honor Raymond's memory. This was a 4,000-square-foot palace in the sky filled with original art, and the scent of teakwood. Simone Tate was already there. Simone was my lawyer, my fixer, and my only friend. She was a woman who could smile while signing a foreclosure order, a shark in a bespoke suit. She was sitting at the mahogany dining table, a laptop open, 3 phones spread out before her. "Gloria," she said, standing up. She looked at my windbreaker with a raised eyebrow. "I assume the vacation is off." "The vacation is cancelled," I said, peeling off the windbreaker and throwing it onto a silk armchair. "The operation, however, has just begun." I walked to the wet bar and poured myself a glass of Macallan. Neat. I didn't offer one to Simone. She was working. "Tell me what you know, Simone. I want the autopsy." Simone sat back down and tapped a key. "It's ugly, Gloria. I warned you. I know you did. Just give me the numbers. The $80,000 you wired to Adriana's account, it was gone in 2 hours. Did she pay the hotel?" "No. She wired $75,000 of it to a shell company in Nevada called Argentum Ventures. It's a front for a loan shark operation run by a syndicate out of Las Vegas. She didn't buy a vacation, Gloria. She paid a ransom." I took a sip of the scotch. It burned, but it felt good. "She owes money. She owes a lot of money. Her consulting firm, Mercer Strategies, is a ghost town. No clients in 2 years. But the spending didn't stop. The leased Porsche, the Streeterville loft, the private schools. She's been funding it all with high-interest, predatory loans." "How much?" "Total exposure, including credit cards and personal loans. She's underwater by about $300,000. But the immediate threat is she owes them another $200,000. The 80 grand was just the interest payment to keep them from breaking her legs before this trip." "Why the trip?" I asked, turning to look out the window at Lake Michigan. "If she's broke, why go to Maui? Why drag me there only to leave me?" "Because," Simone said, her voice dropping an octave, "Hawaii isn't a vacation for them either. It's a sales pitch, and you were the product." I turned around. "Explain." "There is a venture capital summit happening at the Four Seasons Maui this week. High net worth, invitation only. Adriana and Malcolm managed to secure a pitch meeting with a group called the Aurora Fund. Lead investor is Diana Carver." "Carver," I said, recognizing the name. "She's a butcher. She buys distressed assets and strips them for part." "What is Adriana pitching her?" "She has no assets." "She's pitching you," Simone said. She slid a folder across the table. "Or rather your estate." I walked over and opened the folder. It contained a pitch deck for a company called Veritas Future Holdings, and there on the 3rd page was a section titled Collateral and Future Capital Injection. "Read the fine print," Simone said softly. I read it. My hand tightened on the glass until I thought it might shatter. "Primary liquidity event expected within 6 to 12 months upon the passing of Gloria Mercer. Terminal diagnosis, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. See attached medical report. Estate value EST $60 million. Sole beneficiary, Adriana Mercer." "I'm dying," I whispered. "Apparently, they forged medical records. Gloria, they are telling investors that you are in hospice care in Southside, mentally incapacitated, and that your death is imminent. They are asking for a $5 million bridge loan against your future estate." That's why I couldn't be on the plane, I realized. The puzzle pieces slammed together with the force of a gunshot. If I show up in Maui walking and talking, their collateral walks away. They needed me, left behind. They needed me in Southside playing the role of the dying invalid. Exactly. The forgotten ticket wasn't an accident. It was the linchpin of the fraud. I finished the scotch in one swallow. I slammed the glass down on the table. "Simone," I said, "get the jet. Where are we going?" "Maui." "You want to stop the meeting?" "No," I said, a cold smile touching my lips. I don't want to stop it. I want to attend it. If my daughter is selling my death, I think the corpse should be there to negotiate the price. There's one more thing, Simone said, hesitating. What? The Southside apartment, the one you actually live in. What about it? Malcolm took out a second mortgage on it last week, $50,000. He forged your signature on the deed transfer. The heir left the room. The Southside apartment was sacred. It was where Raymond had died. It was where I kept his cologne bottles on the vanity, exactly where he left them. They had defiled the shrine. They forged my name, I said, my voice barely audible. On Raymond's house. Yes, by the debt, I commanded. Which debt? Adriana's debt, the $200,000 she owes Argentum Ventures. Call the sharks in Vegas. Offer them full principal plus 20% if they transfer the note to us immediately. I want to own her. I'll make the call. It will be done within the hour. Good now. Book the plane. And Simone, have a helicopter waiting at Kahului Airport. I need to get to that resort before they close the deal. The Gulfstream G650 flew faster than commercial, while Adriana and Malcolm were suffering through a 12-hour flight in first class, sipping champagne and thinking they had won. I was cutting through the stratosphere at Mach 0.9, plotting their destruction. We landed in Maui just as the sun was beginning to set over the Pacific. The air was thick with the scent of plumeria and jet fuel. I didn't stop for customs. My status cleared me on the tarmac. I boarded the waiting helicopter. It lifted off, banking hard over the sugarcane fields. I looked down at the island. It was beautiful. It was indifferent to human suffering. Where to, Miss Mercer? The pilot asked over the headset. 4 Seasons. Put me down on the private pad. I looked at the garment bag hanging next to me. Inside was a bespoke Chanel suit, the kind of armor I used to wear when I was hostile taking over shipping competitors in the South China Sea. But then I looked at my legs. I was still wearing the baggy khakis and the stained windbreaker. No. I thought, the suit is too easy. They need to see the ghost. We touched down. I grabbed my old canvas bag. I refused the golf cart transfer to the lobby. I needed to walk. I needed the heat to bake the rage into something hard and brittle. I walked into the open-air lobby of the Four Seasons. It was opulent, dripping with orchids and money. I went straight to the concierge desk. I'm looking for the Aurora Fund presentation, I said, putting on my confused old woman voice. My daughter is presenting, Adriana Mercer. The concierge, a young man named Kai, tapped on his screen. Ah yes, Ms. Mercer. The presentation is scheduled for the Plumeria conference room down the hall to the left. Thank you. I shuffled down the hall. I found the Plumeria room. The doors were open. It was empty, vacuumed, pristine, empty. I checked my watch. It was 9 a.m. local time. The meeting was supposed to be now. Had I missed it? Had they finished early? Excuse me, I called out to a passing housekeeper. Is there a meeting here? No ma'am, she said. Moved last minute. The man, he shouted a lot, said this room was too open. Too many people walking by. He wanted privacy. Malcolm, paranoid. He knew the lie was fragile. He didn't want accidental eavesdroppers hearing them pitch a fake death. Where did they go? I don't know, ma'am. Maybe the villa. Which villa? The Mahina Clifftop Villa. Very private, only for VIPs. I thanked her and turned around. The Mahina Villa was on the other side of the resort, a mile away through the gardens, past the pools, up the cliff path. I started to walk, then I started to run. My bad knee protested, a sharp spike of pain with every step, but I ignored it. I was a hunter tracking wounded prey. I sweated through my polo shirt, my hair stuck to my forehead. I looked deranged. Good dot. I reached the gates of the Mahina Clifftop Villa. It was a fortress within a fortress. High stone walls, a heavy wooden gate, and a security guard standing post. His name tag read Koa. He was big with arms like tree trunks and a face that said no. Stop there, ma'am, Koa said, stepping in front of me. Private event. I leaned against the stone wall, gasping for breath. I clutched my chest. It wasn't entirely acting. I was 67, and I had just sprinted a mile in humid heat. Please, I wheezed. My daughter inside. Adriana, I have her medicine. Koa looked at me. He saw the sweat, the shabby clothes, the panic. He didn't see a threat. He saw a confused, potentially dying geriatric Ms. Mercer. Koa asked, Wait, are you the mother? Yes, I gasped. Chi-Chi forgot her heart medication. Please, she gets attacks. Koa hesitated. Mrs. Mercer gave strict instructions. No interruptions. She could die, I whispered. Do you want that on your log? Koa made a judgment call. He tapped his earpiece. I'm escorting a guest in family emergency. He swiped his keycard. The heavy gate clicked open. Follow me quickly. We walked down the stone path toward the villa. The sound of the ocean crashed below us. Through the glass sliding doors, I could see them. They were sitting around a long tick table. Adriana was standing at the head, pointing to a screen. Malcolm was seated next to her, looking confident and predatory. Across from them sat three people. I recognized Diana Carver immediately. Silver hair, shark eyes. I was 10 feet from the door when my secure phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, shielding the screen from Koa. It was a text from Simone. Alert. Wire transfer flagged. Banking system froze the purchase of the debt. Suspicious activity hold. We do not own the note yet. Do not engage. Repeat. Do not engage. I stopped. The blood in my veins turned to slush. The entire plan, the leverage, the power move, the ability to crush them instantly, relied on me owning that debt. Without it, I was just a crazy old woman crashing a meeting. If I walked in there now and claimed I owned Adriana and Carver checked, I would be humiliated, arrested. Ma'am, Koa asked, looking back at me. Are you okay? I looked at the phone. Do not engage. I looked at the glass doors. Adriana was laughing at something Carver said. She looked so confident, so slimy. If I waited, they might sign the deal. They might get the $5 million. They might win. I shoved the phone into my pocket. I'm fine, I said. Let's go. I didn't wait for Koa to open the door. I grabbed the handle and slid it open with a crash that shattered the calm of the air-conditioned sanctuary. And that is why Veritas Future Holdings is the Adriana froze mid. The room went silent. 5 pairs of eyes turned to me. I stood in the doorway, panting, sweat dripping from my nose, wearing a 10-year-old windbreaker and dirty sneakers. Mom, Adriana squeaked, her voice cracked like a teenager's. Malcolm stood up so fast his chair tipped over backward. His face went from tan to chalk white in a second. Gloria, what? I stepped into the room. Hello, sweetheart. Hello, Malcolm. Diana Carver turned in her seat. She looked me up and down, her lip curling in distaste. Who is this? Malcolm scrambled to recover. He rushed toward me, putting on a mask of frantic concern. Oh my God, it's Gloria. Oh, you poor thing. Koa, why did you let her in? She said she had medicine, Koa said, confused. She's confused, Malcolm shouted, grabbing my arm and digging his nails in. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry. This is Adriana's mother, the one we told you about, the dementia. It's getting worse. She must have wandered away from the nurse. He hissed in my ear, get out, or I swear to God, I will kill you. I shook him off. I didn't just pull away. I shrugged my shoulder with a violence that sent him stumbling back into the wall. Don't touch me, I said. My voice was low, gravelly, and completely steady. I walked past him to the head of the table. I looked at Diana Carver. My name is Gloria Mercer, I said. I do not have dementia. I do not have pancreatic cancer, and I am not in hospice care. Carver looked at Adriana. You said she was dying in Southside. Kichi is, Adriana stammered. I mean, this is a delusion, a lucid episode. Mom, please, you're embarrassing yourself. Am I asked. I leaned over the table, placing my palms on the wood. Adriana, tell these nice people about the $80,000. What, 80,000? Adriana laughed nervously. She's imagining money. It's part of the sickness. The $80,000 I wired you for this vacation, I said, which you wired to Argentum Ventures in Las Vegas to pay the interest on your gambling debts. The air in the room changed pressure. The word gambling hung there. Liar, Malcolm shrieked. She's lying. Call the police, Koa. Get her out. Koa stepped forward, reaching for my arm. Ma'am, I need you to come with me. This was it, the moment of truth. I didn't own the debt yet. The wire was frozen. If Koa dragged me out now, I lost. I had to bluff. I had to be the scariest thing in the room. I turned to Koa. I didn't raise my hands. I just looked him in the eye. Touch me, son, and you will be unemployed before you hit the floor. I am a titanium member of this hotel chain. I know the owner of this property, Mr. Nakamura, personally. Do you want me to call him? Koa hesitated. He saw the shift. The old woman was gone. The commander was there. He stepped back. I turned back to Carver. Miss Carver, I said, you're a smart woman. You didn't get where you are by buying bridges to nowhere. Ask yourself, why is the dying mother standing here? Why are they sweating? Carver looked at Adriana. Adriana was dripping sweat. It was soaking through her blouse. She's crazy, Adriana whispered. Check her phone. I said. Ask her to show you her call log. Ask her who Vinny from Las Vegas is. I don't have to show you anything, Adriana yelled. And then it happened. Ring, ring, ring. A phone started ringing on the table. It was Adriana's, a loud, obnoxious rap ringtone. We all looked at the screen. The caller ID was visible to everyone. Unknown caller. Las Vegas. Inebe. The silence was deafening. Adriana stared at the phone like it was a bomb. She didn't move. Answer it, Adriana, I said softly. It might be important. Maybe they want to know why the wire transfer was flagged. I took a gamble. A massive, calculated risk. I assumed the freeze on my end meant a freeze on their end. The loan sharks hadn't gotten their money from Simone yet. They were calling to break legs. I can't, Adriana whispered. Then I will. I reached for the phone. No, Adriana lunged for it, but I was faster. I swiped accept and put it on speaker. Yeah, a rough voice barked. Listen here, Mercer, we didn't get the payment. The wire bounced. You think you can play games with Arch? We have a guy on the island. He's 10 minutes away. Adriana whimpered. I leaned toward the phone. This is Gloria Mercer, I said clearly. Who is this? Who the hell is Wait? Gloria, the mother. Yes, the mother. I am currently buying your debt note. My lawyer, Simone Tate, is trying to wire you $240,000, full principal plus premium, but the banks are nervous. Unfreeze the transfer on your end. Confirm the account details, and you get your money in 5 minutes. There was a pause, a confused silence from the thug. You're buying the debt. I am taking ownership of the asset, I said. Do you want the cash or not? Yeah, we want the cash. Then clear the line for Ms. Tate. She's trying to reach you. Done. The line went dead. I looked up, my secure phone in my pocket vibrated. One long buzz. Transaction cleared. I exhaled. The bluff had become reality. I looked at Diana Carver. She was staring at me with wide eyes. Then she looked at Adriana. Gambling debt, Carver said. Her voice was ice. You tried to use my $5 million investment to pay off loan sharks. No, Diana. Listen, Adriana pleaded. You forged medical records. Carver stood up. She picked up the pitch deck and threw it across the table. It hit Adriana in the chest. Get out, Carver said. Diana, please. Koa Carver barked. Get this trash out of my sight and call the police. I want to file charges for fraud. Wait, I said. Carver looked at me. No, police, I said. Not yet. Why? They tried to swindle me. They tried to swindle you because, I said, smoothing down my windbreaker. She is my daughter and I preferred to handle my own discipline. Carver looked at me for a long moment. Then slowly, a smile spread across her face. A predatory, respectful smile. You bought the debt, Carver said. You own her now. I do. Carver sat back down. Go ahead, Ms. Mercer. The floor is yours. I turned to Adriana and Malcolm. They were huddled together near the window. Malcolm was pale. Adriana was crying. Ugly mascara-streaked tears. Sit down, I commanded. They sat. Here's how this ends, I said. You are going to leave this room. You're going to go to the lobby. You will find that your room has been cancelled. Your luggage has been seized by the hotel until you pay the bill, and you cannot pay the bill because I have frozen your accounts. Mom, how are we supposed to get home? Adriana wept. We have no money. I reached into my pocket. I pulled out a single crisp $20 bill. I had withdrawn it from the ATM at the airport specifically for this moment. I tossed it onto the table. It slid across the tickwood and stopped right in front of Adriana. Take a cab, I said. To the airport. Figure it out. Gloria, please. Malcolm sobbed. The children. Think of the children. I said. I have arranged for 4 tickets home. They are in your email. Economy class. Middle seats. Row 48. Right next to the lavatory. It's a long flight. You'll have time to think. And the debt? Adriana asked. The Vegas guys. I paid them. I said. You don't owe them a penny. Adriana's shoulders sagged in relief. Oh, thank God, Mom. Thank you. I knew you wouldn't. You owe me, I interrupted. You owe Mercer Holdings $200,000. You will pay me back in monthly installments of $1,000 for the next 16 years. If you miss a payment, I will file the confession of judgment. I am having Simone draft right now and I will take everything you have left. We have nothing left, Malcolm screamed. Then you better get jobs, I said. I hear the airport is hiring baggage handlers. Honest work, good for the soul. I pointed to the door. Get out. Koa stepped forward. He grabbed Adriana by the arm. He grabbed Malcolm by the elbow. He dragged them toward the door. "Mom," Adriana screamed. "Mom, don't do this." I turned my back on them. I looked out at the ocean. I heard the door slide shut. I heard the screams fade. I was alone in the room with Diana Carver. "Coffee?" Carver asked. I turned around. "Black, no sugar." She poured a cup from the silver service on the sideboard. She handed it to me. "That was," Carver said, taking a sip of her own, "the most brutal, hostile takeover I have ever witnessed, and I was at Lehman Brothers in '08. "It wasn't business," I said, taking the cup. "It was parenting." While Carver raised her cup to parenting, we clinked china cups. I didn't fly home immediately. I stayed in the villa. I paid for it myself. I turned off my phone for 24 hours. I sat by the infinity pool. I watched the whales breach in the channel. I drank expensive wine and ate poke. When I finally turned my phone on, the notifications cascaded in like a waterfall. Adriana, 14 o'clock. We are at the airport. Flight is delayed. Kids are crying. Malcolm, 16:30. You are a monster. I hope you die alone. Adriana, 20 o'clock. We landed. We are home. The power is out. Did you cut the power? Simone, 21 o'clock. Power cut confirmed. They haven't paid the bill in 3 months. I declined to renew the auto-pay. I scrolled through them. Anger, denial, bargaining. Then a text from Tessa, my granddaughter. Tessa, 22:15. Grandma, Mom and Dad are screaming at each other. Mom is crying. Are you really rich? I stared at the screen. One typed a reply. Yes, Tessa, I am. And one day, if you work for it, you might be, too, but not like them. I put the phone down. I returned to Southside 3 days later. I walked up the 3 flights of stairs to my apartment. It smelled of old dust and memories. I sat in my recliner. I waited. I knew they would come. They had nowhere else to go. At 7 p.m., there was a knock. A timid, broken knock. I opened the door. Adriana looked 10 years older. She was unshaven. Her suit was wrinkled. Malcolm looked like a ghost. His face was pale, his hair disheveled. They stood in the hallway, heads bowed. "Come in," I said. They shuffled in. They didn't sit until I told them to. "The terms are simple," I said, standing over them. "I have set up a trust for the children, the Raymond Mercer Foundation. It will pay for their college tuition only directly to the school. You cannot touch it." Malcolm nodded, tears streaming silently down his face. "As for the inheritance," I continued, "there is none. Upon my death, my entire estate will be liquidated and donated to charity. Every cent." Adriana flinched, but she didn't argue. She knew she had lost the right to argue. "And the mortgage fraud," I said, looking at Malcolm. "You will sign a confession. Simone has it. If you ever, and I mean ever, try to use my name or my property again, that confession goes to the district attorney. Do you understand?" "Yes," Malcolm whispered. "I understand." "Good." I walked to the door and held it open. "Go home. Get jobs. Raise your children better than I raised you." They stood up. They walked to the door. Adriana stopped. She looked at me. Her eyes were hollow. "Mom," she said, "I'm sorry." "I know you are, Adriana," I said. "You're sorry you got caught." I closed the door in her face. I locked the deadbolt. Click. I walked back to the living room. I poured a glass of red wine, cheap wine, the kind Raymond liked. I picked up the framed photo of him on the mantelpiece. He was smiling, grease on his cheek, standing in front of our first garage. "We did it, Raymond," I whispered. "It cost us a daughter, but we saved the grandkids." I took a sip. It tasted like justice. And for the first time in a long time, the apartment didn't feel empty. It felt clean.